also make music as Kilometer Club, and today I'm going to show you how I make some of my drones and put together an ambient song in about 20 odd minutes, start to finish, give or take. Probably a little imperfect, but I've got this down to a science, and so I want to show you some tricks. So the first thing I should let you know is that I have my pedal board, which I'm going to show you in a second, and it's set up to ready run through to be recorded. Got my Logic Pro set up, tuned my guitar. I kind of put together all my presets on my board. My board does have MIDI set up to make magic happen, except that I am not there yet. So very little of the MIDI is in fact working. So first thing I'm going to show you is I'm going to turn this around. I'm going to show you what's going on my pedal board, and then I'm going to make some music. This is it, the famous Kilometer Club pedal board. I'm going to take you on a little tour here. So right in the middle of this, the first thing you should know is that I run my board through a loop switcher called the Morningstar ML10X. And what's really cool about that is that it kind of allows me to run a couple of different loops, and I can change it up from song to song, kind of depending on what I need. Among the pedals I have, you're probably familiar with a lot of these if you know ambient music. We got the Chase Bliss Mood, the Habit. From Walrus, I have the ARP 87 and Slow, which I really love in part because it has a freeze option. We have also from Walrus the M1, which is modulation. I use it for some filtering, which I love to kind of squish my loops at the end. I have here the ACS1, which I use kind of at the end of the chain. Got a Morningstar MC8 MIDI pedal. Right now it mostly just controls the ML10X, although I do have plans to connect everything via MIDI. I have here the Empress Zoya, which I am not going to lie, I download a bunch of presets, see what sounds cool. I love this one called Loop Forest. I end up using it a whole lot. And then of course, the hologram microcosm, which I am using also as a looper. So one of the things I'm going to be doing is kind of creating some asynchronous loops. Among the loops I'm going to use the slow to freeze. I'm going to use the mood to kind of create a really brief loop. I'm going to use the microcosm to kind of do a longer loop. And then as that starts happening, I'm going to turn on the habit. I'm going to reset it, and it's going to be set to collect. So if I make some occasional kind of swells and strums, they're going to be played back kind of eventually at various different times to kind of vary up the loop. And so what you can tell already then is you're going to get a lot of kind of like non-synchronous sound. Eventually, everything is going to be filtered through the M1 before it finally goes to the ACS1 and out to my computer. So what that allows me to do, especially with the M1, you can hear right now, there's a bit of a filter on it already, and I like kind of keeping that filter. It kind of squishes everything together, gives it a bit of a saturated lo-fi sound. And what I like about that is it gives me an opportunity to kind of play around with the kind of guitar drone as a backing track, adds a couple layers on it. Sometimes I add more guitar, sometimes I add synth. So that's what my guitar pedal's doing. I'm going to set this up so that it can watch my pedal board. You'll kind of see what I'm doing. You'll probably hear the raw guitar as well as the guitar through my speakers. Obviously the guitar through the speakers is the only thing that will be recorded. Okay, so I think I got everything set up. I decided to turn the lights off, give it a bit of a more of a mood. I think I get enough light, hopefully. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna start by recording. One of the things you'll notice, you might hear, yeah, there's my click track. I'm actually not playing this to a click, I'm just kind of playing it a little bit free. The first thing I wanna do is kind of create like a low, kind of drony sound to start with the reverb. Bring up the volume. Next, I'm kind of going to set up the mood, which is the kind of micro looper here. So already you can hear some layers that are happening right now. So now for the microcosm, I'm going to kind of play some kind of swells. So now I've got a couple loops going, and so what I'm going to do is my habit is set to collect, so I'm going to kind of restart it, and I'm going to turn it on, and now what'll happen is as I kind of play along, I'll get some of these notes now, but they may also show up later, which is one of the cool things about habit. Now, you might be thinking, oh, that sounds really crunched and lo-fi. And you'd be absolutely right. And I absolutely love kind of creating a guitar drone that has that lo-fi-ness. And then what I might do later on is I might go in and I saturate it, kind of distort that low end and kind of make it even uglier. And then once I get there, I might add some kind of beauty to it with some nice soft synths. Figure out how they clash. So one of the nice things about kind of playing asynchronously is I can kind of not worry exactly when notes hit, especially when they have a swell, which I'm doing with the volume pedal. You'll notice too, I don't have a lot of low end here, which is kind of intentional, and that's kind of the filtering with the M1. I kind of don't want to use a lot of kind of low end for my guitar because I'm going to add some synth bass to that later on, and I think that's kind of fun to do that. If you can hear my raw guitar as I'm playing, one of the things you'll notice is I'm just kind of playing randomly a little bit. And now I'm going to stop. I'm actually going to put down my guitar, and you're going to hear enough things happening in the sound that are already happening in part because of the habit, but in part because of these loops. So I'm going to let you listen for about 30 seconds. So sometimes, if I feel like it, and I feel like I got a couple minutes worth of music here, I'm actually going to put down my guitar because I'm done with it for this part. And what I can do is I can kind of twiddle some knobs, see what kind of sounds I put together. So among the knobs, the one that really changes it is on the M1, I have the tone. So if I lower it, kind of, that'll help with the filter here. You can hear that really changes it up. Oh wait, that's not on tone. What am I doing wrong? Oh good, I screwed that up. Oh, I see what I did. Okay, that was a nice one. I screwed up by moving the main to a whole different setting. Anyways. One of the things I find I do is if I change the sound dramatically here, rather than kind of pretend that I'm going to blend it from one thing to another, I actually take this part forward and I keep it as almost like a separate stem that I blend into the original one. So maybe what I want to do here is create kind of a lower end stem. So I'm going to lower the tone. Ooh, that sounds kind of nice. So as I'm listening here, I got a kind of a whole other array of sounds. Sometimes that was, I hit the wrong knob, and in the end I got a nice sound from it. You can almost hear a little bit of the filter is less severe now, and you got a really nice tone. So I'm going to let this kind of roll for about a minute and a half, because maybe this might be what I'm going to create my song using. I'm gonna let this run for another 30 seconds, capture some good stuff, and then I'm gonna reconvene in a moment, setting my DAW up for some synthesizers. Okay, so here we are. Now we've recorded some guitar as kind of like that backing drone, and I'm ready now to take it apart and add some synthesizer on top. Maybe I'll bring back some more guitar later on. The thing that I do want to let you know is that I absolutely love working in a bit of chaos. You only see a little bit of the chaos right now, but it's everywhere. That being said, I don't care enough to fix it. I know where everything is, and that's what matters. Anyways, let's take a quick listen to parts of the drone here. So that's the really filtered one. I'm gonna move it so you can see a little bit more here. And then later on we have this one that's a little less filtered, a little treblier. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually split this, and what I'm going to do once I split it is I'm going to make it kind of so that I can run both of them kind of simultaneously for kind of different frequency levels, which I don't know, I guess that's what I do. I don't know if that's what you're supposed to do. I don't know if there are rules. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to set up a synthesizer. Okay, so here now we have our two drones playing together. And it actually kind of works really nicely. I'll kind of isolate both. So the bottom is the second half of what I recorded. Some nice movement and frequencies here. And then this one definitely has that kind of radio-y lo-fi sound, which I'll kind of probably smudge and saturate a little later. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open up and get myself a synth. I use the Complete suite, which I very much love. I also have Arturia, and this is my nice collection. Got lots of them. My absolute favorite synthesizer is Pigments. Even with the presets, there's just so much you can do, and even the ready-made presets, I might just look. I love kind of long release, slow, kind of simple. Even this gentle pad. And I'm sure if I had time and energy, I might tweak some things. I might pretend I know what's happening. But at the moment, I don't. Sometimes the main thing I like to do is slow down the attack on the envelopes because it kind of works nicely for ambient. You don't want anything too harsh. So that's what that sounds like. So I played a lot of D with a little B minor when I was doing some of the guitar recording. So I'm going to kind of use a D and B minor as my bass. I'm going to kind of noodle because, again, little atemporal. So here I'm going to just, you'll notice nothing is kind of set up to be the right timing anywhere. Oh, and I'm recording on the wrong track, which is beautiful. So I'm going to undo that recording, try that again so that I'm only on the synth one. There we go. Let's try that again. Just so you know, everybody makes mistakes, especially ambient musicians. Difference is ambient musicians just keep all their mistakes and pretend it was intentional. If you can't already tell or hear, I'm just playing notes. I haven't rehearsed this, I'm just figuring out if I play notes in the right key. Usually they sound really good. Sometimes I play them a little harder, play higher notes. People like higher notes. They add some intensity. unless you want to watch me record the same chord for another couple of minutes, I'm going to stop this one, and by the time you see it again, it'll be put together. Okay, back again. I finished that first synth take, and right now I kind of picked a really quick second one. This one's called Up in the Clouds. Nice warm pad again. Gotta keep that slow attack. I love that slow attack. This one really echoes really nicely. So I'm gonna kind of not start right away, but on this one I'm just gonna kind of play some really long notes. There's a nice B minor. Unless you want to hear these long drawn-out chords, we'll catch you in the next one. Okay, so now I'm going to add some bass, because why not? I like to... Bass is tricky in ambient a little bit because I find you don't want it to be too heavy or too kind of attacky, but also you need it there, and sometimes the pads sometimes will have enough bass to them. But I found kind of a bass that kind of has a nice kick to it, but it's not too heavy, and I'll see how that sounds. The tricky part again with no set tempo and no kind of clear with no set tempo and no kind of obvious chord changes is really trying to find where's the best spot to kind of change it up and move it. So I'm going to kind of go with very little movement here. Might have the bass come in after a few seconds here. There's a nice boominess to it, and that has to kind of be mixed in. I'm gonna hold some keys for a nice long time. Maybe I won't even change it that much. No, let's put a B in there. Here already with the two synths, it feels nice and full. Ooh, I don't know if I like that higher note. Might have to edit that later. Not bad though, maybe I'll keep it. I feel like there's a nice little subtle bit of movement in some of the synths without it being too overwhelming. Especially when I make kind of dronier sounds, I want it all to kind of sound almost like you're not sure what's making that sound and kind of what's causing the changes. Reverb's really good for that. Kind of noticing that I'm talking to myself a lot here, and that's usually because I make this music alone, much like many ambient musicians, and there's something kind of fun about talking through whatever you decide is the right thing to do for you, and that's exactly what I'm doing here, for better or for worse. So if you're really bored by me, I'm sorry, and if you've always wanted a friend to make ambient music with, guess what? It's your lucky day. I think this is coming along. I'm debating if I want another layer or not, but part of me thinks it's actually, keep this one quick and simple. It's going to be probably about 3 minutes long, give or take, and we'll be able to kind of figure out what we need to go from here and do a little light mixing, and then we're good to go. Beautiful. Got to end on the root note here. I was on the B, so now I'll kind of close this out with a D. Nice kind of shimmer in one of the guitar pedals, which is kind of cool. Nice way to end it up. And here I've talked for almost 4 minutes while hitting 2 total notes. I actually think I added 1 extra, but I'm going to delete it in a moment. Okay, it's basically mixing time, and the first thing I have to tell you is that I don't know what I'm doing. I pretend really nicely. Let's adjust it so we can see some of the presets. I kind of go by whim, but I think as far as like pure mixing, I use a bunch of presets. I like them. Should I spend more time on my mixing? Absolutely. Do I? Absolutely not. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a look at these this initial stem, and I know one of the first thing they tell you in mixing school not to do is mix in like isolated sounds, but right now I don't care. I'm going to use one of my all-time favorite plugins, which is the RC20 Retro Color, which is a really nice kind of lo-fi and saturator. Give it a little tiny bit of wobble, but I love using this kind of like tube distortion, especially on a lower end. And so often I use that a lot on guitar. Works really nicely. It has a nice dryness to it, but I'm going to use my Valhalla Vintage Verb, again also a plugin I absolutely love. And I'm going to just kind of, I like using a nice, very nice hull, very popular around these here parts. Honestly, I start with this. Maybe I should be thinking a little more critically, but I don't. Not bad. That's how it sounds altogether. Next I'm going to go to, this is the higher one. Let's get some nice reverb on that, and you know, maybe not the very nice hull. We'll go to Terrell hull. Often I find I just kind of listen, try to see what works. I'm plugging this one a little bit more right because the other one is left dominant here. So the other thing I obviously have to do is use some EQing, and you better believe that I go and I use some of the presets. I like to use kind of FM sounds or piano. These ones work really nicely on what I'm looking for sometimes. So here this is piano attitude. I know that you're probably not you're supposed to use this plugin like this properly and know what you're doing with it. I just play around until I think it's all right. In this case, this is pretty all right for me. Okay, moving on. So this synth sounds really nice, but I want to give it a little bit of saturation. Again, going back to my RC20. Not too much wobble, I don't want too much of that. I like to distort kind of in the lower end, and in this case I'm only using this for distorting. I'm going to bring in my SSL 400E. I know this is apparently the one for rock music, so not even the right one for what we're supposed to do here. Sounds good to me. Let's move along. So this one has a bit more of a hollowy sound, so I might want to put some reverb on it. That's too much reverb. I like to use huge spaces, like a long synth hull. This one's fun to kind of play around with. And that makes it nice and drony. Obviously we could EQ this if we have to. I actually don't want too much of the high end here. So I've got FM sounds rough. And then there's that boomy bass. One of the plugins I really like for bass saturation is Unfiltered Audio Basement. I don't know if this is the best one, but I like it. Again, going to their presets. And here's my bass smoother. Kind of brings it out a lot, so I like to bring that volume down. And then one of the things I like to do to kind of give a nice saturation on the end, what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to pull from Plugin Alliance the knee old warble, which is kind of like a duplication of an old reel-to-reel tape deck. So here I'll set that up. And when we go to tape, I like to try, here's smooth with vintage feel. And that gives it a bit of a nice touch. I'm not sure if peaking because my synth, everything's volume's too loud. I haven't really done that volume adjustment just yet. Oh yeah, I'm definitely too loud, so I think I haven't even kind of done my volume automation, so I'm going to bring everything down. Don't need anything clipping already before you even get to the master. But now I can do my volume automation, because why not? As with everything, Ambient likes to start with some nice fade-ins. And what's cool about this one is that this will fade in nicely with kind of the more saturated-y one, and then eventually go to the one that's, or the more filtered one to the less filtered one. So here I'm just kind of doing my fade-ins and fade-outs. Some of the synths might kind of end on their own. We'll see how that sounds. So here, let's go to the top. Oops, probably stuck at the very start. Ooh, that bass comes in too strong. Maybe I need to bring in this one a little sooner. So you can hear, sounding pretty nice as things are coming together. If you can believe it, we're almost there. Just take a listen along the way. The thing about drone is kind of keeps pretty consistent as far as dynamics, which for better or for worse. So now we're gonna kind of figure out, tweak a couple things and put the finishing touches, and in under an hour we have ourselves an ambient drone song. Okay, now it's time for the world's worst mastering artist, and that's how we master using all the things you probably shouldn't, or all the things you're not supposed to do, but I'm going to do it anyways. So as I play my song here, I'm going to pull up some of my favorite plugins. Again, I go to the preset. This one's called Master Glue. I love that because who wouldn't want some glue to bring it together? So does it do much? I don't know, especially with this drone stuff, but I put it there anyways. I like to use a black box analog design HG2MS. Go to the mix. I like to pick usually vintage wake up, something pretty simple like that. Every now and then I throw on the Better Maker EQ232D, and I go to the master. This one's called Tight and Airy. And who wouldn't want their music to sound tight and airy? And then I'm going to do what will make every mastering artist around, or even sound engineer, probably cringe. I'm going to open up Isotope Ozone, and I'm going to use the Master Assistant. How dare you, you may say, but I don't really know what I'm doing, so I use this anyways. And more than anything, it means things are loud enough. Mostly things aren't distorted, they don't clip. Often I look at the equalizer and I kind of adjust a couple things, but it gets me my right volume, and really, that's okay with me. Just rely to my song. But here we are, this song is kind of coming along nicely, lots of texture, a lot of little high-end jangles. Debating even maybe lowering those a little bit, maybe going to EQ and just bringing those down a little bit. Let's just listen to that part again, make sure it doesn't sound too overwhelming. We're going to kind of turned off some of the pedals to see how some of them are sounding. Got to hear how the ending kind of ends up. Okay, so if you've been following along with a bunch of these clips, I want to show you my watch here. It says 5:22, and I actually forget if I showed my watch or just mentioned that it was 5:24 when I started this song. But I just recorded, mixed, mastered, and finished a song in just under an hour. And just to have more fun with it, I am also going to create album art and upload it right now so that kind of within an hour and 15 it goes from not existing to being out in a couple weeks, because we can do that. That's the beauty of ambient music and sharing music. And maybe I'll get 1,000 listens on this just for it existing, and that to me is absurd and I love it. So off we go to Canva to make a really quick album art. So my track is now rendering in the background so that I have an uncompressed file ready to go. And what I'm going to do while that gets ready is I'm going to go to Unsplash, which is a website where you can find free photos that you can use for album covers. And so I love doing that. Oh, the song sounds like it's ready. You can hear it here. It's ripe and ready to go. Maybe I'll put it on very quietly in the background. So sometimes I like to pick keywords. One of the things that you should know when you look is sometimes when you type in something like space, you're going to see actually that some of the most popular ones are used in a lot of things. That I feel like there's some astronaut photos you've probably seen many times, or kind of Northern Lights pictures. These are beautiful pictures, but I think everybody kind of uses them. And so one of the things I like to do is I like to sort by newest, so that you kind of don't get something that everybody else gets. But I don't want anything maybe as obvious. Maybe I want something more abstract. Maybe a deserted house. Let's see what we get there. Oh, those are not deserted. Those are very put together. Those are some new ones. Not bad. Maybe we'll use something a little bit more symmetrical, not what I'm used to. Like, that's a nice door. Ooh, I kind of like that. Kind of has something. So one of the things I kind of like about using Unsplash and using the newer ones is if nobody's downloaded it, it's probably something that it's not going to be on someone else's album cover, which, when you take too much, that might be something that we come across where we may not. I try to credit the photographers. Luckily, when the photos download, they usually have the photographer's name, so I can add that when it comes to my my Bandcamp. So I actually don't remember what my password is, so I'm gonna pause. Okay. Oh, this is recording, yeah? Okay. So now it's time to make an album cover. So let's do album cover. 1400 by 1400 is usually good. I am going to upload let's see what I've been up to lately. I'm going to upload the photo that I had, and kind of what's nice about this photo that I found is it's kind of can take over a large amount of this space, which will look really nice on my album cover. So you heard the song. I'll play it again. It's a perfect background song for what we're up to right now. Kind of works almost on its own. Give it a bit of symmetry. Give that kind of double line in the middle. Let's edit this photo a little bit. What do we want to do? Let's use some filters. Kind of try to match the color palette to the song itself. Kind of need something a little bit less vibrant, I would say, but not too dark. So this is Scandinavian, not bad. Actually, I want to expand this a little bit because I see a little bit of a corner peeking, and nope, that's too much. Where were we? Oh, you know what, the intensity side. If we lower the intensity, yeah, that has a bit of a black and whiteness to it, but not too much. And so now let's go to text. We're going to add a setting. It's going to be, say, Kilometer Club, as it always does. And I'm going to pick a font. I think I want something kind of relatively understated, maybe not too much, not too big. One of the things I love about Canva is it gives kind of the default colors, which kind of help you color match. Let's see, where can I put this that it'll get seen? I think one of the problems too sometimes with photos is it, looks great, but nowhere to put it that you won't take over. And I'm not great with other graphic designs, so I'm not sure where to put it, but maybe something nice and small and it goes right here. That's not bad. Have to make sure it centers nice. It feels like it's not centered. Okay, so I think I settled on a nice font here, and this kind of looking pretty good as part of that. But one of the things I haven't done yet is I haven't named my song. And so I was trying to think about what I should name the song, and that's always fun, something I actually love doing. And so I was thinking about an album that I made recently that I ended up abandoning that I called Angles, and it had all these math terms. If you don't already know, I am a grade 7 teacher, and so I teach math. I love teaching math. And so I thought about calling one of the songs City of Angles, which is kind of like a nice little funny pun, and I figure maybe this is a good opportunity to use that. So I'm going to call this one City of Angles. I'm going to put that so that this fits here. In case you don't know what that is a pun on, it's City of Angels. Something fun about math puns. I'm going to change the font color so it's not exactly the same. Maybe I'll use this slightly darker. Oh yeah, now I just have to center it. I am not a perfectionist, so if you're like, oh my gosh, everything's a little bit off center, that's just how it's going to be. And oh yeah, that's definitely a little bit not perfect. Maybe I want these to be a bit more separated, so I'll put this one up here, put this one a little lower. Kind of works. I like that. Gonna have to just adjust them a little bit, and then my album. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to do is I am going to add this to DistroKid to get it ready to go for listening, because I hope you want to hear it soon. So I'm going to set it up for May 19th. Today is May 4th, so that gives me 15 days. Select another genre, I don't know, New Age. Some of the selectors have ambient as an option, some of them don't. Okay, gonna find, there is my album cover, City of Angles. I'm gonna select the audio file. Where is my audio file? Nope, it's not my Logic folder. And I call everything under KMC. And I wrote this. This is my name. No explicit lyrics. This song is instrumental. Sure, 99 cents. I don't want to pay. I'm going to check. And on May 19th, City of Angles is going to be available. And so that kind of start to finish at 6:45 right now. That includes putting some French fries and chicken nuggets in the oven for my family, because we eat well sometimes. And with all this, I'm going to have a song ready to share with you. I'm very excited that I was able to go through this process. And if you were wondering, am I a genius or not? I hope this is your answer. And I'm curious to what that answer is.